talks, news.
Today I want to talk to you guys about rock bottom and failure and how important these two things are for someone to experience. If you haven't experienced these two things, then whenever you hit a problem, you're most likely gonna fold or maybe crash, or some of this stuff is what puts people into depression also, and causes suicides also. Okay, now the reason why this stuff is so important is because we need to learn one thing, that in this life, no matter what you believe, there are certain laws that always are true. One of them is, for every action there's a reaction. And the second one is, with everything good comes something bad, and with everything bad comes something good. So once you know this, you apply this to every area of your life. Okay? For instance, why is failure so important? The reason why: how can you know bad, or how can you know good if you don't know bad? If you never had a bad day in your life ever, how are you gonna know what a bad day is like? A perfect example of this: you ever heard someone who's rich or very successful, something happens to them and they want to kill themselves? This is one of the reasons why, because the person has never experienced failure. So when you never experience failure and you're so used to always winning, it shocks your whole world. And since you never been through it, you don't know how to get out of it. And a lot of times when people experience failure, they're at a point in their life where, in order for them to get back to where they need to go, they need to struggle, or they need to, do a lot of stuff to get back, or, to accomplish certain things, and they're not going to know how to handle that. So a lot of people end up wanting to kill themselves. They can't handle it. They go into a deep depression, things like that, and that's when it starts affecting their mental health also. So that's a very important. A lot of people, such as myself, when I was younger, I used to try everything, all right? And I used to fail at everything. Okay, now the things that I tried, I learned from. Okay, I learned from, which was like a bounce, because every time I failed something, I learned something, which at the next time I was doing something else, even though I would fail, I would apply it to that, and to the point where I started succeeding. Because of all the times that I have failed, I found out what works. But it was a lot of failing, a lot, with all different types of stuff. And to tell you the truth, what would happen to me was I would get depressed. I would think the world's over every time I tried something and it failed. And when you start doing this repetitively, what you realize is that failure, mistakes, and hitting rock bottom are things that we need. The perfect example is because a lot of people, when they start something, they want to start as a champ. Okay? You can't be the champ the first day. It's not gonna happen. Okay? It's not gonna happen. You're not gonna be the champ the first day. You have to train, and you have to work up there, because what happens is, if you try to be the champ the first day, life or whatever it is going to knock you out. It's going to throw you out, and then you're going to get even more discouraged. All right? Because you didn't prepare. And that's what goes on in life. A lot of times we want to do something and we see other people that are better than us. For example, me was art, graffiti, making beats, writing songs. I used to always see all these people that were so much better than me, and I would always try to be like them. But Well, what happened is that the reason why we need to start from the bottom with everything is because, you see, the champ is not the champ because he's better than everybody else. That is one of the factors, but the real reason he's better than everybody else is because once you start encountering different people doing the same thing, you learn their different styles. So the champ is only gonna stay the champ until someone comes and fights him a way that he's never seen. Okay, because somebody could be stronger than the champ, but he knows exactly what the guy's gonna do, this and that, he'll beat him. But that's the same thing with life. In life, everything that you do, you have to learn your way up, because that way when you make it to the top, you're on the top of your game. Being on top of your game is really just knowing what the hell you're doing. That's really all it means. You ever seen an employee or someone who works somewhere that when you go there, they do stuff that everybody, that's because they've done it so much that they already know the shortcuts, they know how to do the stuff. And that's the same thing with life. In life, we need to go through the mistakes. So think about this. You start a business or a company. Do you want to make a mistake when the mistake is going to cost you $10 million? Or do you want to make a mistake when it's costing you $10, $15? Because nobody, your company's not big enough. That's the same thing with life. Every single time you make mistakes, you want to make the mistakes in areas that's not going to affect you, like in the beginning. So that way, when you get big, you already made those mistakes. It's not something that's going to come back and haunt you. And you will always go further than the person trying to do it overnight. Because one day somebody told me a story, right? And this story was about a wrestler. And this wrestler knew 100 moves. And he came and he showed 99 moves to one guy. Okay? This one guy went around beating everybody. It went to his head and he tried to challenge the guy that showed him the stuff. When he fought the guy, that one move that guy didn't show him, he beat him. Okay? That's the same thing in life. With everything. Whenever you get to a certain position and someone else tries to outwit you, you're always going to have the upper hand because you've been through it already. You started from the bottom. You have the experience. Okay? That's the reason why we need failure. Okay? Another thing is that I want to talk about is rock bottom. See, when you're spiraling downwards, you can only go but so far down. As soon as you hit rock bottom, you can't go down any lower. You can only go up. And the reason I know this is because I've hit rock bottom so hard, and rock bottom is actually a good place because you get to start over. Okay, sometimes in your life, you have people, or you have obstacles, or you have your job, or you have maybe a car or something in the way of you progressing, but you don't notice that it's in your way. So when it's taken away, or when it leaves your thing, you think your life is over, but actually it was a blessing. And then you start seeing your doors opening up. Oh man, you thought your life was over, but now you get a chance to rebuild. Because now, if for instance the problem was the car, now you save up and get a better car. Now you don't got a thing. Or maybe that thing that was removed was preventing you from receiving something that was supposed to come that was bigger. Okay, that's why rock bottom is not a bad place. Rock bottom is really a place for you to tell yourself, hey man, let's stop the bullshit that we're doing. Whatever it is that you're doing, okay, that is making you be in rock bottom is not going to stop until you stop it. That's why I told you in the beginning, the laws. For every action, there's a reaction. If you continue to do stuff that's going to lead you down in a spiral, no matter who you speak to, no matter who helps you, you're always going to return to rock bottom because you're doing the same thing. You cannot do the same thing and expect different results. It's not going to work. Okay, that's like a drug addict saying, hey, I'm not going to quit the drugs, I'm just going to take less dosage. It's not going to work. It's always going to return back to the same spot. We need to fail. We need bad in order to learn good. And sometimes hitting rock bottom is actually a wake-up call before you actually lose everything. Okay, because sometimes we don't notice how good we have stuff until we let it go, or until it leaves us. Perfect example of me was I was homeless for 7 months. Okay, now When I was homeless for 7 months, I was sleeping in cars. I was going to different people's houses every single day around dinner time. On the assumption of, hey man, it's dinner. You want to stay for something? Yeah, sure, why not? It doesn't look like I'm hungry. I was doing things like that. I was sleeping in different people's cribs every day, because if you sleep in different people's, that's friends with you, they don't really mind. Sleeping in cars, if I said that already. So what you start learning is that everything is a privilege. Okay, having somewhere to sleep, eating. I wasn't eating, maybe chips every couple of days. I had to walk to school, maybe like a mile and a half. And you start realizing everything that you have is a blessing. A place to stay, a place to take a shower, a place to change your clothes, a place to just sit down and relax, watch TV. All that stuff is a privilege. Okay, there's nothing saying you deserve that for no reason. Okay, so what happens is, if you continue to take actions that's gonna lead you there, you're gonna end up in the same place. And what did I do? I changed my actions. Okay, the reason why I changed my action was, I was gonna go to a homeless shelter because I was too naive, to accept help. And when that ended up happening was, when I got to the homeless shelter, it was a wake-up call. Started seeing how people were living in there. Started seeing the conditions, and I said, you know what? If I do the right thing, I don't have to be here. And I'm not saying that all people in homeless, places put themselves. Some people are, a circumstance, or maybe fires, or different scenarios. But some people are there because of their actions. Okay, stuff that they could have controlled if they just would have noticed what they're doing earlier. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about that, and just to tell you, when you fail, it's not a bad thing. Mistake is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing if you look at it from a positive perspective. You get to learn something. Okay, you get to learn how not to do something. Example, you go up to a female, or you take a test, or whatever it is. Okay, you go up to that female and you try to kick a game or whatever it is, and she don't give you no rhythm, right? You assess that and see what the hell you did wrong. Same thing as a test. You fail once, you go back, you take it again, you study. Everything in life is like this. Driving, marriage, everything is like this. Okay, every action has a reaction, and if you take a negative action, it's gonna result in negative results. Thus, the same thing for everything good, because something bad. Okay, everything good has something bad. You get a good job, it might be a good job, it might pay good, but the boss might be a a-hole. Or winning the lotto, yeah, it's a good thing, but now you got relatives popping out of nowhere that always loved you, friends that are sitting there swearing that you owe them because they helped you maybe once or twice, and there's so many different bad things that can happen. And now people know you have money, everybody's asking you for money. You have to watch people now that they don't try to rob you or kidnap your family for rent. There's so many different crazy stuff, and I could just go on with different scenarios. But everything good has something bad. You might have a good wife. She's always going to have something. It's always going to be something. Nothing is perfect. And we need to understand this in order to understand that every day is not going to be perfect. Okay? If you are in a relationship and you argue with your husband one day, it doesn't mean the world's over. It doesn't mean that he's a evil man. It just means you guys argued one day. You're mad. You get over it. Okay? A lot of people... And the reason why I'm talking about this too is also because a lot of people tend to do this. They tend to work on something for years and years and years, and the first day that it doesn't come through for them, they go crazy. The perfect example of this is a child that's spoiled by their parents. The parents could come every single day, and give them what they want. The one day that they don't get what they want, they throw a tantrum. And that's the way we are, a lot of us are, but we do it with our lives. Okay, we're doing good. And instead of us saying, you know what, we're going to work hard to get better, we want everything in one shot, so we think that we're not doing good. Okay? We think that what we're doing is not enough, because a lot of times too, we need to stop comparing our lives to other people's lives. Okay? Because other people make decisions that you didn't make. A lot of times you see people with a nice car, or you see them with a house, and you're like, man, I wish I had that, but you are not seasoned, all right, to handle that stuff. If that person has had that stuff for a certain amount of years, their mortgage might be $3,000. That car might be $2,000. How the hell are you going to pay that? You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times we want things that other people have, but we don't have them because we're not trained into getting it. Okay? God is never going to give you anything that you cannot handle. Okay? That's the reason why sometimes when you ask for something, you pray for something, okay, God doesn't just give you what you want. He puts you in a position for you to go get it. Okay? And what happens is, again, I don't want to keep bringing this example up, is the champ thing. If God sees that you're not strong enough for what you want, He might start training you and putting you through crazy obstacles to get you strong enough so that when you get what it is that you're asking for, you won't lose it, because you're prepared and you're good. You're strong. You understand? Think about this. You're sitting at home right now, okay? And this is what I've learned from certain people. I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what some people believe. In your life, certain opportunities will only come maybe once, 2, 3 times. Maybe, and that's if you're lucky. You let that opportunity go, it might not come back for 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe when you're older, that's the time it might come back. So if you ask God for something that's supposed to be yours, that you're supposed to have, and you're not ready for it, and you let it go, if you only had one opportunity in your life that God blessed you with, because everybody's blessed with different stuff, there goes your opportunity, bro. Okay? We need to stop asking for stuff we're not prepared for. Okay? We need to stop asking for stuff we're not prepared for. You want something? Train yourself to have it. The same thing as when somebody gets $1 million, $2, $3, $4 million overnight. It overwhelms them and they go crazy and they start doing crazy. Why? Because that person's not used to having money. The same way as if that person would have started off with $1 and they made the millions. They already went through all they got the, one thing one of my mentors told me is, you have to get things out of your system. And the reason is because when we go into certain things, we go in with certain expectations. And we want to do more than, we should be doing from the beginning. Again, wanting to be the champ the first day. Get it all out your system with everything that you try and start from the bottom. Failure, rock bottom, all these things are actually good, and they will help you if you take them as a positive instead of something negative. And if something good has something bad, that means that when something bad happens, there's something good to it.
Yeah, this is your boy J.A, and these are my final thoughts on failure and rock bottom. Basically, we need failure and rock bottom to move on, to grow, and to become better us. Sometimes rock bottom is not a bad thing. It's just a sign that we're doing the wrong thing and we need to change. Okay? This is your boy J.A, and this is Hood Talk News. Thank you for listening.
Hood Talks News.